you're smart enough to know that Coca-Cola and Pepsi aren't just drinks. They kill more Americans every year than all modern wars. And they still manage to sell it as happiness. If you care about the truth, stick with me. Because after 138 years of manipulation, it's time to finally see what's really behind that sweet taste. Atlanta, Georgia. The year is 1886. A pharmacist named John Pemberton is desperate. He's been hooked on morphine ever since he came back wounded from the Civil War. The pain never stops. The addiction is eating him alive. But Pemberton is a man of science, and he decides to create his own solution. He mixes coca leaves, yeah, the same plant cocaine comes from, with cola nut extract, sugar, and carbonated water. The result is a thick greenish syrup. He calls it a brain tonic, a medicinal cure-all, a miracle remedy for headaches, fatigue, and melancholy. Nobody imagines in that moment that this mixture would become the most consumed beverage on the planet. Today, 138 years later, that same syrup causes more premature deaths in the United States than all the wars of the 20th century combined. And you still call it happiness? Let's talk numbers. In 2024, the average American guzzles down 38.9 gallons of soda per year. That's 147 liters, almost an entire industrial barrel per person per year. And that includes children. Babies who can't even talk yet already know the taste of Sprite. Seniors in nursing homes get Coke with lunch. Diabetics on dialysis drink Diet Pepsi thinking they're taking care of themselves. But how did we get here? Flashback to the 1940s. World War II. American troops are in the trenches of Normandy fighting the Nazis. And General Eisenhower makes an official request to the government. 3 million bottles of Coca-Cola and 10 portable bottling plants to produce more at the front lines. The justification? Coca-Cola was essential for troop morale. Not water, not food, Coca-Cola. Soldiers crack open ice-cold bottles in the rubble of bombed-out cities. The sweet, cold, fizzy drink becomes a symbol of victory, of hope, of America itself. And when those soldiers come home, they bring back a habit that'll never go away. Meanwhile, back in America, another icon takes shape. Santa Claus. Before Coca-Cola, St. Nicholas was skinny, wore green or brown, and had this almost ghost-like presence in European folklore. But in 1931, Coca-Cola hires an illustrator named Haddon Sundblom. He redesigns the old man, plump, jolly, rosy-cheeked with a big, wide smile. And of course, dressed in bright red, the exact color of the brand. This image spreads into every American home. Kids grow up believing that Santa Claus, happiness, Christmas, and Coca-Cola are all the same thing. In the 1950s, the commercials explode. Blonde teenagers with perfect smiles dancing at drive-ins. Ice-cold glass bottles passing from hand to hand like Olympic torches of eternal youth. The message is crystal clear. If you want to be happy, healthy, popular, truly American, you drink Coca-Cola. And then comes the biggest blunder and the biggest coup in marketing history. In 1985, after years of war with Pepsi, Coca-Cola makes a radical decision. They change the formula, make it sweeter, more like the competition. And America has a meltdown. The company's phone lines are flooded. People call in crying, say they feel betrayed, like they've lost a family member. Consumers stockpile the last cases of the old formula like it's gold during wartime. 79 days later, Coca-Cola surrenders. They bring back Coca-Cola Classic and turn the mistake into the greatest public relations triumph in corporate history. The implicit message was crystal clear. You love us so much, you won't accept even a comma out of place. We're not just a beverage, we're part of who you are. This isn't a brand, this is a cult. And the scariest example of this is in the American South. In Texas, if you walk into a restaurant and ask for a Coke, the waiter doesn't automatically bring you Coca-Cola. They ask, "What kind of Coke do you want? Pepsi? Dr. Pepper? Sprite? Mountain Dew?" Everything is Coke. The word soda has literally been erased from the Southern vocabulary, replaced by a single brand. Doesn't matter if it's a direct competitor. If it's fizzy and sweet, it's Coke. This isn't market dominance. This is linguistic colonization. Colonization of the soul. Now let's talk money. In 2024, the American soda market is worth $82 billion. That's more than the gross domestic product of Iceland, Paraguay, and Bolivia combined. The Coca-Cola Company alone is worth more than the GDP of 140 countries. But here's the paradox. Consumption of regular, sugar-filled soda has been dropping for 20 straight years. So how do profits keep climbing? Simple. They invented the perfect lie. Zero sugar, 0 calories, 0 guilt, Diet Coke, Coke Zero, Pepsi Max, Sprite Zero, Fanta Zero. Today, 31% of the entire soda market is made up of diet or zero versions, and consumers believe they're saving themselves, that they're making the healthy choice, that they can drink 3 cans a day with no consequences because after all, there's no sugar. In reality, you're just paying more to stay addicted. Let's talk about 7-Eleven. America's most famous convenience store chain sells 33 million Big Gulp cups per year. Each cup holds 1.9 liters, almost 2 liters. That's more soda than the total volume of blood in an adult human. And you know where they put the soda fountain? Right at the entrance of the store, strategically positioned to be the first thing you see, because they know if you make it to the register without grabbing a giant cup, they've lost the sale. Now, the scariest numbers. 63% of Americans drink at least 1 can of soda per day, and 20%, 1 in 5, drink 5 cans or more. That 20% accounts for 80% of the entire industry's revenue. The industry has a technical term for them: heavy users, priority targets, and the hunt for these heavy users begins at 5 years old. Yale University, Neuroscience Lab. The year is 2013. Researchers place teenagers inside MRI machines. They drink soda while their brains are scanned in real time. And what happens is shocking. The area of the brain responsible for reward, the nucleus accumbens, lights up with terrifying intensity, stronger than when these same teenagers see erotic images, stronger than when they receive compliments or money. And get this, stronger than when recreational cocaine users consume the drug. But why? The formula is pure engineering. Sugar, caffeine, phosphoric acid, carbon dioxide. 4 legal psychoactive substances, mixed in scientifically calculated proportions to create chemical dependence. And they always knew. Internal Pepsi documents from the 1940s openly talked about creating an irreversible habit in the consumer. Not loyalty, habit, irreversible. With every sip, your palate dies a little more. The sugar receptors on your tongue start to desensitize. Fresh fruit starts to taste bland. Water, tasteless, pointless. You need more sugar, more sweetness, more intensity to feel the same pleasure as before. It's exactly the mechanism of tolerance, like any hard drug. Except this drug is sold in public school cafeterias, with cartoon characters on the packaging. Mississippi, 2024. The most obese state in the United States. 49.9% of the adult population is obese. Half, 1 out of every 2 adults. Life expectancy in Mississippi is 74.4 years, the lowest in the entire country. And here's the statistic that explains everything. In 70% of Mississippi cities, soda is cheaper than milk. Coca-Cola vending machines are inside schools, not at the gate, inside, in the hallways, next to classrooms. How is this possible? Exclusivity contracts. Coca-Cola pays $20 million per decade to entire school districts. The annual cost of obesity in the United States is $1,700 billion. That's more than the national defense budget. And for the first time since the American Civil War, life expectancy is falling. 3 consecutive years of decline. An entire generation is going to live shorter lives than their parents. New York City, 2012. Mayor Michael Bloomberg tries to do something radical. Ban the sale of soda cups larger than 16 ounces in restaurants and movie theaters. The industry's reaction is immediate and brutal. In 6 months, they spend $20 million on lobbying. They hire former mayors, religious leaders, unions, civil rights groups. Their narrative is simple and effective. This is an attack on individual freedom. The government wants to control what you eat and drink, and it works. They win in court. The law is struck down. The 2-liter cups go back on the shelves. The message is clear. Your health is worth less than their profits. But not everything is lost. Philadelphia, 2016. The city imposes a tax of 1.5 cents per ounce of soda. Coca-Cola responds with a threat. They'll lay off 1,200 employees if the law isn't repealed. The city partially backs down. Berkeley, California. Same attempt, same tax, but Berkeley doesn't back down. And in 3 years, soda consumption among young people drops 52%. Scientific proof, price works. But political proof, money talks louder. And then come the leaks. Internal Coca-Cola documents are exposed by investigative journalists. The company's official strategy was shift the blame from sugar to lack of physical exercise. They created a fake organization called the Global Energy Balance Network, funded it with $120 million, hired scientists, nutritionists, doctors to appear on television saying that 1 soda a day won't make you fat as long as you walk for 10 minutes. The phrase became a national mantra. The NGO was exposed, shut down amid scandal. No executives were arrested. Coca-Cola spiced, new flavor with even more citric acid to mask the artificial taste of aspartame. Pepsi Maple Syrup Cola, limited edition with 25% more sugar than the original formula. The strategy is always the same. Create urgency. FOMO, fear of missing out. Compulsive collecting. People buy entire cases to stockpile at home. Exactly like they did in 1985, when they thought they were going to lose Coca-Cola Classic, because the machine can't stop. But something's changing. For the first time in 100 years, the empire is starting to crack. Total soda sales in the United States have dropped 28% since the peak in 1998. Generation Z, born between 1997 and 2012, drinks 40% less soda than millennials did at the same age. But for the first time in a century, American children are drinking less soda than their grandparents. Maybe the biggest legal addiction in history is finally losing the war. Next time you hear that sound, that unmistakable of a can being opened, close your eyes for a second and ask yourself, who's really being opened? The can or you?